Hey, what's happening, everyone? It's Friday. You know what that means. Time for another excruciatingly awesome episode of ABW Detonate right here on YouTube. I am the old school AB, being joined once again by the bard of the boiler room, the deacon of distressity, the pontiff of pain himself, the one and only Kind Man. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. I wasn't sure if you were going to use the usual tagline of "It's Saturday" and just release this tomorrow, but we are at a different time.
That's
which
right.
You can all see that as much as I've sacrificed for you on Saturday mornings, I will not on Friday evenings. As I put a plastic straw in my gin and tonic.
That's great. It's the sacrifices we make, right?
Yeah, but we're not making it on Friday evenings.
No. And I do want to say, hopefully, this episode we have some new digs on our page. If you look below you, you should see your logo pop up, and I think that's pretty cool. So we are trying to do a few things on the production side of the end scale so that things look all right. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I like fancy things.
I think it's hard. It's hard to make me and you have a face for YouTube versus a face for radio. So
yeah.
There's a reason why I strap leather to my face,
right,
and straw to drink my gin and tonic.
Right. Yeah, this beard doesn't hide just good looks, folks. I'm not a matinee idol. You get it? All right. We have a great show today for you guys today, including a Bash at the Beach 98 review. Yes, we're going to go back in the Wayback Machine to the old school review. And I wanted to do an old school review. I know that was a pay-per-view that I was there in person for, and I wanted to watch again. And I know that I don't think Mr. Kindman has ever seen. So up until this point, by the way. So I look forward to hearing what his thoughts are on that. And also, we'll be doing a top 5 submission holds of all time. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been happening throughout the wrestling week. And I know, Kind Man, you've got a couple of bullet points you want to get some instant hot takes on.
Yeah, just quick around the horn. Not a lot, but
sure.
Since we're going to spend some time in the Wayback Machine, back from when I was 2 years out of college, working for a beer company and really living my best life back in 1998.
That's a good life.
Just a few things from the current, obviously Deadline, NXT pay-per-view or premium live event was this last week. I thought they did a phenomenal job on the men's Iron Survivor Challenge, with something, with Trick Williams scoring 3 falls in the last 20 seconds to win. A lot of times you would think that would seem manufactured, and you would think that, just didn't seem realistic or anything. I think they did a wonderful job figuring that out and playing that out. So I thought that was great. I was completely disappointed that my breakout woman for me, Kalani Jordan, didn't even have a pinfall. So that was disappointing. AB, for you, I found a very Alanis Morissette ironic moment of the week where they were talking about Jay Uso and CM Punk, and they were saying how no one wanted Jay Uso at Raw but Cody Rhodes. And then they were saying no one wanted CM Punk but Jay. So I found it this very ironic AB moment where all of your favorites were aligned. And it was no one wanted Jay on Raw but Cody.
Right.
And no one wanted CM Punk on Raw but Jay. And it was just this triangle. Not that you're a big Jay fan, but the other two and everything. They were talking about 2 of your faves around who no one
somebody
wanted.
Who no one wanted, right? The unwanted, undesirable, right? I believe is the phrase we're looking for.
I found that being a great, just I thought of you when I saw that storyline and them talking about that.
Well,
And
that's
and
awesome.
obviously, no one was talking about our truth, which was
And that's a
justified.
shame. That's a shame because he was on television this week, I will
Yes, he
say.
was.
But no, if I had to say if there's one highlight for me this week, it would have been the CM Punk promo with Seth Rollins. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought so too.
you know, and, and
He-
and I think it just illustrates to me, for me, the difference between somebody who is a talented speaker and somebody who is unfortunately not, or may need improvement. I guess needs improvement, or NI. Is that the tool they use in corporate world?
there are people that need improvement. But I don't
Yes.
know. Did you see NXT this week?
I did not. No, I
Okay,
did not have a chance.
there's a guy in this new like breakout tournament.
Sure.
And his name is Oba Femi.
I thought you were going
And
to say Boba Fett.
no, Oba Femi. I'm not going Star Wars on us here.
uh,
Oba Femi. He is an SEC Southeastern Conference shot put champion. And I can tell you, he is an absolute Adonis
wow.
and very interesting.
That's
And
mighty
the last
praise.
thing I'll say, I'll give a shout out to AEW. Hangman had one of the greatest quotes I heard all week. And this is the end of my bullet points on this week. When he was talking about Adam and the relationship between him and MJF and
Right.
everything, he goes, I don't care about laser tag. I thought it was just a great line where it's basically saying, I
uh,
don't care about your guys' bromance.
right.
But those just a couple things from this week,
Yeah.
since we're gonna be covering a lot of other things. I just found it just made me jot something down right away.
I'll be that as it may. We do have to get into this pay-per-view, and I don't know how long this is going to take because we've never done anything like this. And I took pages upon pages of notes. I will show the viewers the notes that I have taken in
Wow.
preparation for this. And I think with the way I want to do this, and maybe this is the smart way to do it, maybe it's not, is I'll tell you what the match is. So I'll review the match, and then I want to hear your thoughts because, for me, I could repeat this, regurgitate this on command, but it's really your thoughts that I'm interested in hearing. So,
Well, I would think in the future when we do this, when we go to the Wayback Machine,
yeah,
which I thought this was great, and I had a ton of fun watching this today.
yeah.
Um, I think we want to clue in our listeners before,
Oh, sure.
so if they want to watch prior to getting our thoughts, having a week to find that pay-per-view
Hmm.
and to dial it up on Peacock, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And we will do that here in the future. Um, but for now, just maybe what you should do is go on to Peacock and pull up Bash at the Beach 98. And maybe you should watch it. Pause the video and then pull up that on Peacock and then come back to this video and then watch it again. And then you can enjoy the fruits of our labor with us. Or unless you have one of those photographic memories,
Uh,
maybe you
I'm going to
remember
say
all that
things.
shit.
I guarantee there are going to be things I say in my review of this show that you do not remember,
I
because
will.
I
I will
picked
take
up
that.
on little things all over the map.
I will take that. So, Bash at the Beach '98 kicks off at the announce booth, which I thought, God, that was kind of strange. But back in '90s WCW, that wasn't the strange way to start a show. It was just normal. Hey, there's the announcers. We're going to go into the thing. I don't know how much WCW you've ever watched, kind man, but this was pretty much the norm, and it's not the norm for today's wrestling. It was just kind of one of those things that took me gassed at first. But I loved the Perry Saturn and splitting from the Raven and Raven's Flock angle from WCW back in the day. So this match really was one of my favorites on the card here. This is the one where Saturn actually broke away from the Flock. Raven come out with the Flock. Said the match starts outside with some brawling. Saturn gets an early upper hand. Eventually they get to a point where they do a ref bump. There's a double table stick up set by Saturn, but I guess Canyon saves them. I guess he ran out to make a save, and
So he could
yeah,
get them himself.
yeah. So he was basically this was an overbooked piece of garbage, but it was a fun match. Raven won with the even flow DDT for the win. Yeah, I don't know. It was an okay little match. It was a fun match. I guess what made me nostalgic for it was this is the first WCW match that I've seen in probably 10 years. I mean, I don't think I've watched any of the WCW matches from pay-per-views since WWE Network first came out. So it's been a while. So I was tickled pink to watch it, even though it was garbage. I was tickled pink to watch it.
There were some things that were a little suspect in different matches, but I found a couple of things that just jumped out at me right away. Like, so Mean Gene opens,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I remember Mean Gene more from the WWE,
Right.
but he does a promo for a 1-900 number
Oh yeah, the
to
old
call
900 line.
call in to pay $1.69 a minute to hear WCW news. So to me, that jumped out right away, where I was like, "Oh my God, this
Scheme
is awesome!"
Gene.
You know,
Oh yeah,
we got a $1.69 a minute and a warning to all the kids: get
parents,
permission from your parents
get your
before
kids'
you
permission.
dial in. Yeah, the Saturn Raven match was interesting, and one thing I saw right away was the guardrail around the ring. So there's no padded
No.
barricade. This is a guardrail.
Right.
And what I saw right away was Saturn threw Raven into the guardrail like 20 seconds into the match. And these fucking beachcombers from San Diego in their shorts and exposed shins have metal just driving into their shins, and watching their reaction to how painful that was. The fans, I thought, was fascinating. And later, as I'm watching matches later, they have both their feet in the air, like trying to like pushing against the thing when anyone's coming up there.
Oh,
I
that's
thought
funny.
that was fucking awesome.
That's hilarious.
And then in today's day and age, these people would fucking sue WCW
Yes,
for that.
they would.
You know, because people got hurt. Like, I could see people like take it in the shins, like, hard. But the one thing that jumped out at me, and I jotted down when I watched this, is so it was Raven rules.
Yeah.
Where there was basically no rules, where it was
Right.
just
It's whatever Raven said.
qualifications, no ever. But yet, if someone put their leg on the rope while they were being pinned, it was broken up.
Right.
And one time Raven puts his legs on the rope to try to get leverage to pin, which I don't think helps with leverage, by the way.
Sure.
And the referee like starts scolding him.
Right.
So I'm like, what the fuck is Raven rules? You have no disqualifications, but yet
right.
The rope breaks up a pinfall.
Well, apparently, you know, he's a rogue, but he's a gentleman about it.
I guess, but that was a interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I say. Like, there are gonna be things I jump out with that you didn't think about.
That's pretty insane. All right, next up, the only thing that I would say in hindsight of that one, by the way, is that watching that match made me realize how much I miss Raven. What a creative talent. What a creative genius that guy is.
I liked Raven.
Yeah. Next up, Mean Gene interviews Eddie Guerrero. He faces Chavo Jr. later. He says that Chavo isn't all there, and that he's got to wrestle Stevie Ray first before he gets his hands on me. Eddie says he's going to cut your hair and shave your head. This is one of those hair versus hair matches. And I think that, I don't know what the angle was precisely leading into it. If I'm not mistaken, Chavo Guerrero lost a match and had to be Eddie's servant, and this made Chavo go crazy. And was he playing crazy or was he actually crazy? We don't know yet. But it was certainly driving Eddie Guerrero mad. You could see this later on in the card. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. That was just your standard Mean Gene interview.
And this was part of the problem with watching it, is that other than the last two matches, which were really the premier matches in the pay-per-view, they didn't give any backstory.
No.
Leading into it, like you see today in these matches. They probably had more matches than a normal premium live event, but they didn't give the backstory on a lot of these. So coming back to 1998, I didn't understand, how Chavo became crazy or how they were presenting him.
Right.
So it was a little disjointed from that perspective, but you kind of got the gist. It's not like, they're not asking you to break down molecules watching wrestling. So
No, right.
so you kind of catch on very quickly, but
Right. That wasn't even the next match anyway, because the next match was Kidman with Lodi versus Juventud Guerrera. And this is post mask removal of Juventud Guerrera. Juventud Guerrera used to be a masked luchador, and he was pinned or submitted for his mask by Chris Jericho at the time. So freshly unmasked Juvi going up against Kidman. They said that this was Kidman's very first pay-per-view match, and I don't remember that being the case, but apparently it was. I thought the action was pretty fast-paced. I thought it was a decent match. Maybe it was too good by today's standards. Match really holds up nicely. It really does. When you watch it back, like this match, hold it up against anything that's out on Raw or SmackDown or even Dynamite, and I'll put it to the test. I'll tell you that's a damn good match. So, Juvi wins with the 450 splash. Beyond that, I didn't remark on anything specific.
Yeah.
You?
Kidman, did he show up as another persona at some point that I might remember? He looks familiar to me, but I'd never heard Kidman.
Yeah, he was always Kidman. Even when he was in WWE, he was Kidman.
Okay. So I don't remember him.
Yeah, he was Billy Kidman. But yeah, he was always Kidman.
The only thing I'd say about this match is it was the only match that in the pay-per-view that was at pace.
Yeah.
That was moving.
Yeah, it was fast-paced.
There were a lot of slow-down matches in this one. Although there were good matches, a lot of them were really slow to develop. And this match was fast-paced.
Definitely. All right, and the moment we've all been waiting for, Stevie Ray versus Chavo Guerrero Jr., match number 1. Chavo comes out and he's wearing an inner tube floaty thing and a super soaker. He's trying to drive home that he's nuts, but we question whether he's actually nuts or whether he's, just making Eddie think he's nuts. All right, so here comes Stevie Ray, here comes Chavo, the bell rings, and out comes Eddie. Chavo gets on the mic and declares the match. He dedicates the match to his uncle. And basically, Chavo starts the match by shaking Stevie Ray's hand, but then he squeezes. Oh, no. He falls to his knee, and he submits. You're a winner by submission in about 28 seconds, Stevie Ray. This does not make Eddie Guerrero happy. This does not make Stevie Ray happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think your Eddie Guerrero's thoughts in the interview from Mean Gene earlier was, boy, this big man is going to absolutely beat him up leading into his second match of the night. Why would he agree to 2 matches?
Yeah.
And I viewed it as a strategic masterclass by Chavo Guerrero to just get out of that match very quickly that he agreed to, so that he could focus his attention on the hair match.
Yeah.
Between him and Eddie Guerrero. And so I thought that was fine. It was, and once again, it was a slow moving match to begin with. Chavo was trying to portray this craziness, and he just gave up very quickly. And I thought it made great strategic sense.
Yeah. If I was looking at my notes here, I thought first of all, I wanted to note that Charles Robinson was the referee here. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Why wouldn't he be? Yeah,
why wouldn't he be?
I have it as one of my bullet points from the Eddie versus Chavo match, where Charles Robinson remains on.
Yes, he does, and that's actually.
And by the way, let's also not skip over the fact that Charles Robinson also referees the main event of this.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
But
we'll get to that.
Why wouldn't he?
And why wouldn't he?
He's got some flow in this.
He's a
Oh, back in '98.
he's an
He looks a
OG
little different in
WCW ref.
2023, but
Yeah.
oh boy, that is a San Diego referee in this event in 1998.
Hair versus hair. Eddie versus
Oh,
Chavo. I wrote down, this is how you do comedy spots in wrestling. If you want to do them, they do them right. Chavo is, quote, crazy and can pretty much do whatever he wants, and the crowd is going to eat it alive. I wrote down, this whole match is executed with precision and expertise. I didn't see anything out of place. I didn't see any misstep. I didn't see anything that was wrong with it from an outward glance. This was in my remembrance of my favorite match on the card that night, because it was so well done. It was just well done from a storytelling perspective, from a match for an in-ring work perspective, the whole nine. This one stood head and shoulders, in my humble opinion, above even the Kidman Lodi or the Kidman Juventud Guerrero match. It stood above that one. And this is what I liked about old school WCW was the front of the cards on these things were always so stacked.
yeah. I thought it was well done, no doubt about it. I agree with you on that. I thought it was slow. I thought
Really?
they could. Yeah, I just thought they did a little too much on the, how many times does Chavo need to bite the hiney of Eddie Guerrero?
Well,
Can you just do the biting of the ass once, versus like 2 or 3 times and just dragging it out a little bit? I like them getting to the match, but I thought it was well done. I think if I knew the storyline of Chavo going crazy better, the match would have hit better for me. I
probably,
like
yeah.
the ending. I like the
Yeah.
the small package with the scissors exposed
Yeah. Dangerous
and
spot.
yeah, and everything like that, because that takes a lot of, like, they
Yeah.
got to be careful there.
Trust.
Yeah, because they had a lot of things where they're going to cut. Why either of them wanted to cut the person's hair before they won made no sense. But the way it ended, the way it went, I thought him cutting his own hair versus Eddie cutting it made sense based on the crazy storyline and all that stuff. I thought it ended well. I thought it was a great. I thought it was a great match. The part that got me up in my seat and I stood up and I screamed was when Chavo brought the scissors to Charles Robinson's hair. That's when I said, "Enough's enough, dude.
Yeah.
You don't go. You don't go.
You
You
don't
don't go
touch the
there."
goat.
No.
My God. All right. Next up, Tony Schiavone is talking to us, and he tells us that Jericho is here despite not having an opponent. We'll find out who that is later. Seems highly sus to me. The next match they give us, and I'm not sure, even when I was there, I really wasn't sure what the purpose of having this match on the pay-per-view was, other than we need to pull some NWO people out who are not Hulk Hogan. But they pulled a match out. This was Disco Inferno with Alex Wright, and they were dancing buddies at that point, versus Conan with Luger and Nash representing the NWO Wolfpack. And shitty Disco Fever promo to start is what I wrote. What the hell did he do? Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Hard to watch.
Yeah. Nash, Conan, they cut some small promos and did some catchphrases, made the crowd pop a little bit. Alex Wright.
He was playing off the Disco Inferno's lack of
Spanish
knowledge, and he was playing to the crowd from this, speaking Spanish to them.
You know what the funny thing is that now, watching that back, Conan and Disco Inferno are on a podcast together called Keeping It 100. So, yeah.
They weren't keeping it 100.
No, they weren't keeping it 100 then. I'll tell you that. Just some food for thought there, folks. No, I had here Alex Wright interferes, And then Luger goes over to neutralize the threat. Nash power bombs Disco in the ring. Conan recovers and puts Disco in the Tequila Sunrise. 1, 2, 3 over. Meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
Is what it is. That was.
Yeah.
I found, since we're going to be talking about submissions, I watched very closely on the Tequila Sunrise, see if I had missed anything
Sure.
on my top 5 list. And spoiler alert, I didn't. So
right.
half
Don't tell Conan that.
Half crab ain't making it on the top 5 list.
Don't tell Conan that.
Yeah, well.
Well,
can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah, sure.
When we have NWO Wolfpack, and I believe one of our mutual friends, Retmus, that was one of his names of one of his alliances for a mobile game. And then you have the Hollywood, NWO Hollywood, and you have all these different things, but they don't seem to be together. So you have NWO factions that aren't together. I don't know if I remember or understand all that.
So this is where it gets really convoluted, right? Because the original concept was the NWO, and it had all your usual suspects, your usual faces: Hollywood, Hogan, Nash, Hall, 6-Pac or X or whatever you want to call him, X-Pac.
X-Pac.
Yeah.
X-Pac's my guy.
X-Pac, right? But it had a series of people who were in, and then as the NWO grew, it just got too big. I mean, for God's sakes, your mother was in the NWO and you didn't know it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you watch this pay-per-view,
yeah,
there are so many different NWO members, and coming to the ring dressed in black and white.
Yes,
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I know this guy and this guy aren't on the same team, but they both say NWO.
I feel like this needs an episode of its own, and because look, we could get deep into the rabbit hole on this thing, but suffice to say,
let's not, because we like to keep this short.
We got to keep it going
for our viewers,
right? But
but that was just something that jumped out at me. It was like, okay, we have all these different NWO groups. Do they have any affinity for each other or no?
Yes and no. I mean, they split. So there was basically the long and the short of it was there was a split in the NWO. Half of them became NWO Wolfpack. The other half were just NWO Hollywood. Those who were Hollywood were black and white and were loyal to Hulk Hogan. Those who were Wolfpack were red and black and were loyal to Kevin Nash. So, I mean, that's really...
I did like the Kevin Nash powerbomb in that.
Yeah.
I did think that was well orchestrated and well done.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that match, which is more... We spent more time on this match. We should have.
For a match we don't like. We're just kind of... That's how it goes. Speaking of matches I don't know if I like, coming up next, we have the Giant versus Kevin Green. Kevin Green at the time was an all-time NFL sack leader. As
a linebacker.
As a linebacker, right? I don't know about football.
Third all-time in sacks.
Right.
To a couple of legends, Bruce Smith and Reggie White, who were defensive linemen. So he was third on the list at the time he retired. And by the way, he was an active NFL player at the time of this match, which
he was.
Because I needed some backstory on this, because I remember Kevin Green, and by the way, he had some flow. You got Charles Robinson, you got Kevin Green, you got a guy in the crowd. I'm telling you, there's a guy in the crowd in this match. If you watch this thing,
right
in the front row, he mixes a bouffant.
I've seen that guy.
Oh,
I've seen that guy. And I remember I could see him all the way from my seat. I was on the other side of the arena.
Oh my God. He's got a bouffant and a fucking party in the back.
Yeah.
That motherfucker, that guy spent time in his hair.
Right.
San Diego's wild. I love San Diego.
I love San Diego. I lived there for 10 years. Love San Diego. Love San Diego.
70 and breezy. Can't beat that.
No, you cannot, sir. But yeah, this was kind of a nothing for me. Nothing was, the longer it went, the worse it got, and it went on too long as far as I'm concerned. Nothing against, Giant, aka Big Show, aka Paul White. I love me some Paul White. Nothing against Kevin Green. I'm sure he's really good. He's an all-time sack leader. I'm sure that's great, but This match sucked.
Yeah, no, it did, and there's a lot of reasons why it did. I'll give you the positives first. So the announcers, Shivani and everything, did a really good job here in setting the stage for this Kevin Green, this amazing NFL athlete and amazing athlete in the number one sport in the United States. So they did a really good job saying they brought up Eric Williams, who was an offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys at the time, which is my favorite team. And don't hate me because I like the Cowboys. There's a story behind why I was a Cowboys fan as a kid, and it wasn't bandwagon or anything like that. But they said Eric Williams was the largest athlete that Kevin Green has ever gone up against. He was 6'7", 345 pounds. And then they went to the show and they said, he's got 9 inches and 160 pounds more on him than the biggest athlete he faces in the NFL, which was the foreshadowing to say he had no chance to win, nor should he have.
No.
As you said, it was not a good match.
No.
Bobby Heenan did have a good line in the match, though, that made me laugh. That just said, the Giants' head weighs 110 pounds. Yes. As they were trying to give this asperity to an all-time great athlete in the biggest sport in the United States versus what the Big Show or what the Giant, whatever, like to me is the Big Show, what he was. So I think the announcers carried that match by just describing the difference in what these athletes are. And I think it did wrestling a service by saying a man this big can be this athletic, whereas in other sports it's not that way. And I think they did a really good job of. So that's my positive spin on.
Yeah,
I think the announcers did a great job.
They did. No, and you're right. They did. I don't know. For my money, there's a way to do celebrities and there's a way not to do celebrities. And which we got an example of that coming up.
Yeah, this is a celebrity match.
Right.
I mean, this is a celebrity pay-per-view.
Right. A celebrity pay-per-view.
I mean, you have three pro athletes that aren't wrestlers in one card. Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy that it took place in my hometown. So
yeah, and also the ending of the match was very descriptive of a pro athlete being the person being pinned. Because I've never seen the Big Show, or I've never seen the Giant, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't remember a time where on his choke slam he dropped down to 2 knees before he put the person into the mat. And he dropped down to both knees before he put him down, which tells me, this is why I looked up, was Kevin Green still active in the NFL? Because there had to be something in his contract that he didn't get just blown the fuck up. And the way the chokeslam worked from the Big Show, I'd never seen a chokeslam like that. I never saw Kane, Undertaker, Big Show ever drop to his both knees before putting the body down. And that told me right away. So right away I was like, okay, this match is stupid. Yeah. Because they weren't going to treat this guy like a wrestler. They wanted to make sure there were bear hugs, that there were, like things throughout the match that the guy wouldn't get hurt. And I completely get it, because the NFL is a billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
But don't expect me to be locked in when you're trying to protect the athlete that's coming in.
Yeah. All right, up next, Chris Jericho versus a mystery opponent. Jericho comes to the ring in a top hat and a cane. I remember thinking that was hilarious. Even back then, this was back when Jericho was still entertaining, folks. He comes out and he gloats.
Jericho's always been entertaining, by the way.
Well, I don't know about that. Here lately, he's turned a corner.
Well, lately.
Few in wrestling dare go down He was going down the Hogan path.
But remember, this was 25 years ago. Like,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I'll give him credit for being entertaining for 25 years.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Jericho comes to the ring in a top hat and cane. He gloats about how great he is till J.J. Dillon comes out and says he misjudged Jericho. Dillon says the fans are disappointed that he can't wrestle, so he got someone on a short notice and says he's a local guy. And Jericho says, bring on some jobber, jabroni guy, and out pops Rey Mysterio Jr. to it wasn't a huge pop. I mean, I got to be honest, I was there in the building, and it wasn't huge. But it was decent enough. It was a nice little hometown pop for him.
It would be bigger today.
It would be much bigger today. Absolutely would be bigger today. But anyways, the bell rings. The opening moments were great. I thought it was a great wrestled match. Who says WCW sucks? If you're watching a match like this, God, it's great. Lots of back and forth action. I said at the end of the match, Dean Malenko came out to ringside and distracted Jericho so Ray could get the pin. And after the match, Malenko fights with Jericho, and that's pretty much it. But
yeah, I mean,
well-wrestled match. But yeah.
As soon as they said local guy, it was like, I don't remember where Rey Mysterio was in 1998, but I guarantee you this is Rey Mysterio. Like, as soon as they said that.
Yeah.
The other thing they did foreshadow this match a little bit by showing, because Dean Malenko got suspended, about it being a family issue, and Jericho hitting a little too close to home on a few family comments. But I don't know. It was a decent match, but I don't like the fact that Jericho loses a title and then he's turning tail and running.
That's what he did.
Malenko.
That's what he did.
Like to me, they downplayed the title transfer.
Sure.
And I think that's poorly done. Like, I get the whole reason why Mysterio was there is because of Malenko getting suspended because he attacked Jericho. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, okay, like we didn't even get to see Ray like hold the belt up or anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seemed odd for the production standpoint.
Yeah, and maybe you're right. Maybe you have a point there, but I don't know. I think if you'd have seen what Jericho did in WCW back in the 90s, and we may cover more, but it might make a little more. He was just like that. He just did those things. I don't know what he did. He would just. It was almost like he was
Jericho later in the show.
Okay. Or on Jericho later in the show. I can't wait. Next up, we have Bret Hart representing NWO Hollywood without any NWO Hollywood gear versus Booker T for the WCW television title. I loved television titles back in the day, and I wish that they come back. They actually kind of have. I mean, TNT. They have a TNT championship and a TBS championship in AEW, and those are television titles, so I should shut up. But yeah, love the concept of a TV title, being the best wrestler on television. You should defend it on every show, but that's just my humble take on the matter. My notes here, and you kind of beat me to the punch, but I was like, yeah, did you see that guy in the front row? What a mane. Looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter after a trip to the hair salon.
Oh my God! Yes,
yeah.
Dog the Bounty Hunter with good skin though.
Right? Yeah, he had some proper tan going on,
like a rippled fucking peach.
Yeah.
This guy had it together, and that guy prepared for his trip to the front row.
He sure did. He was going to get photographed that day. You better bet. Yeah. No, but this was kind of a weird match. I said this was a DQ after Hart waffles Booker with a chair. And it was a shame because it was actually a good match up until that point. Yeah. They ended, I guess they wrap a figure four around the ring post before Stevie Ray makes the very slow stave, telling people around ringside that he's my brother. He doesn't need your help. He's got to be tough. He's got to be tough. And I don't know what to make of that. It was a good match all the way up until the shitty ending, and and
Yeah, I find it odd when someone's up for a championship and they obviously disqualify themselves. Like
yeah,
that's not like I don't like that at all.
yeah,
Um, I'll tell you this few things I took from this match. Booker T from a physique perspective, oh my God, looked amazing.
yeah,
Like I was like, oh my God, that's Booker T. Like I've never seen him before.
yeah,
Uh, Other thing I took from the match, um, I thought it was just creepy and like made my skin crawl. All the references to Chris Benoit during the
yeah,
match.
yeah. That wasn't
That
good.
that bothered me. Not to say that, like, if you're gonna watch that from when that happened, of course they're gonna bring that up, but
Yeah,
because he was involved in the storyline, but it just that like made me
yeah. No,
just
you're right.
uneasy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll tell you is Booker T actually hurt himself in that match that was not planned. And I watched it a couple times, and he was holding his knee uh, when Bret Hart was focusing on it, and Bret Hart brought a chair down on his knee,
Mm.
but Booker T didn't move his hand off his knee fast enough,
Yeah, I saw that.
and he actually like really hurt his hand, and you
Yep.
could see Booker T like clawing his hand in and like just be like, "Oh my fucking God, that hurt."
Yep.
So that was one
Oh.
thing I picked up on, but it was yeah, that was I never like when someone's up for a title and they disregard the opportunity so much to get themselves disqualified for really no reason.
Yeah. Anyway,
Never been a Bret Hart guy, but by the
oh,
way,
okay.
but
Well, no, I like Bret Hart. I think Bret is misunderstood for the most part. But again, that's a whole other show we could talk
yeah,
about.
that
I could talk about
we could
just
do a
Bret
show
Hart.
on Bret Hart. We
Yeah.
should. By the way, in our first show ever, we had said that in a pay-per-view I was at as well, a Royal Rumble I was at, that Hart and Shawn Michaels hit the ground at the same time in a Royal Rumble, and that was actually incorrect.
Right. He's correcting himself now, folks.
Yeah, because the idea is that whenever you think of controversy in Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, you put them together because of the Montreal screw job. But it
Right.
was actually Lex Luger who was involved in the event we just watched, and Shawn Michaels that hit that ground at
Yeah.
the same time in that Royal Rumble. Because I was there. It was the Providence Civic Center. It
Yeah.
was 1986.
The Providence Luger job.
Yeah. It was not the Bret Hart screw job.
The Providence Luger job. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Um, yeah, so we got our quick recap. And this is something that you didn't really see, but previously, the week before, Goldberg actually pinned Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome for the world title. Right, so that meant that this was going to be, Goldberg's first defense, and they brought the whole kit and caboodle out. They brought Buffer out, and he did all the intros. The crowd was hot for Goldberg. I remember being there, and at the time they made a lot of accusations that the crowd chants were being piped in by speakers, and I'm here to tell you, those were no crowd chants. That was 100% legit crowd chants for Goldberg. People were ape shit for this guy. This was back when he was just after he won the fucking world title. First defense since winning it. Goldberg was super green. I'll tell you this, watching that match now back after so many years, God, what a shit show. What a clumsy, terrible, it was a rotten match. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks. It was a rotten match, and, poor fucking Kurt Hennig have to drag him through that match like that. But anyways, that's enough I got to say about that.
It was not perfect. Let's put it that
No,
way.
it was not the perfect match. That is a damn good way to put it. It was not the perfect match. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say about that, but for me, it was over with before it should have. It went on about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, I didn't understand it.
The match didn't take 20 minutes to finish either.
Yeah, no, and they dominated them, and they did a promo beforehand
Yeah.
of Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect saying, I have the recipe, I know how to beat him, and all this stuff, and you just knew it wasn't going to happen. And it seems very anticlimactic when you just beat Hulk Hogan the
Mm-hmm.
week before, and then you have a pay-per-view where you're putting someone not to disrespect Kurt Hennig, but like on the list of people that are going to win the championship, like 2 or 3 rungs below Hulk
Sure. Sure.
the next week. Like you just know that you know what the outcome of that match is going to be, and to make that, as you said, the Michael Buffer, we're gonna do the last 2 matches as main events, and you're gonna treat both of them the same. That wasn't a main event. Like
No.
everyone knew
No.
who was going to win.
No.
When me and you do our, like for example, this is what he won when a very similar title, that he Goldberg walked out with that day.
Yeah.
Um, when you have a match that you're saying is this championship match, when me and you predict matches, we're basically 50-50 on these matches. There was no one in that arena that thought Goldberg was losing.
No. Nobody. No.
Right.
And I think the reason they brought Buffer out was just so they could get Michael Buffer to say Goldberg.
Right.
You know, it sounds good. But that's just my take on it. And I remember when we were in the arena there, by the way, the crowd was hot for Goldberg when he popped his finishing move. I mean, that's all people want to see. They want to see him come out. They want to see him breathe smoke. They want to see him, do a couple things in the ring. He might be in a little bit of trouble. The heel did a move. No, oh, look out. Here's a spear. Here's a jackhammer. 1, 2, 3, done. That's what the fans want to see. They don't pay to see Goldberg wrestle 20-minute mat classics. Yeah.
No,
And to your point, yeah.
It's like when The Undertaker came out.
Yeah.
They made him so dominant at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where it was destruction.
Yeah.
And that's what people wanted to see. But then eventually you had to make it so, so that Kurt Hennig needs to try to, hey, let's work on his ankle or let's work on his knee so that he doesn't have the power to drive me through the fucking mat. And that's
right.
That's what they played up. They gave Kurt Hennig 45 seconds of stomping on his ankle and stomping on his knee. And then they were just like, all right, enough's enough. Let's just fucking drive this guy through the, through the thing. And I found it fascinating to listen to Heenan call this match because Heenan actually has such a good relationship with Kurt Hennig.
Mm-hmm.
And the silence from Heenan during this match was very like loud.
Yeah.
Because you could just see he couldn't say anything. He couldn't be the Heenan character for his person, like in that Royal Rumble match where Heenan was so loud towards Flair and everything. He knew that it just wouldn't go over well to be pro, Mr. Perfect, because
right.
it wasn't gonna end well.
No, it wasn't.
And you could hear it. Like he even said, I know the Hennig family. I know them so well. I've managed him. He'll do whatever it takes to win. And then nothing the rest of the match. Like Heenan's silence during that match was so obvious.
Yeah.
What was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, even to those of us in the crowd, we knew it was going to happen. Like you said, nobody thought he was going to be losing the title that night.
No.
And finally, that takes us to the main event. which is Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman, aka Rodzilla, versus DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, and Carl Malone, the mailman, is what they called him. And Michael Buffer back out for the ring intros. And there was a long wait for Hogan to come out with Rodman. And I always had my suspicions on why that was, because somebody may or may not have been in 100% condition to perform that night. They may have been given a bit of a once-over before they came out the ring. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that's what it smells like. And this is the thing, right? If Hogan has to go 30 minutes, he's going to take a lot of breaks. And this match had tons and tons and tons of breaks, including some spots where the photographers at ringside from the press kits are all there to take the shot of Carl Malone holding Hulk Hogan's arm in an arm bar, sort of things like that. I'm sorry, I got a distraction. The other thing I noted was that Carl Malone, my God, he is ripped to shreds.
Oh boy,
my God! And he's got like
he looked as good as Booker T did.
He did. He's got a wingspan on him too. No wonder he's in the NBA. Look at those arms.
Oh, no shit.
Good Lord.
Those guys are different folks.
Yeah,
when you're an athlete at that level.
Good grief! I said the celebrities kick off the match, which is kind of unusual for a celebrity match, where you have celebrities pitted up against the wrestlers, where the wrestlers on each side will usually start the match. Usually it's them who start. Usually it's not the celebrities, but this time around it was.
Yeah, I actually think in this case it fit.
It did.
Because the point is that Rodman is the ultimate villain.
Oh yeah.
Like in real life, in basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the ultimate villain, and Carl Malone is the ultimate likable superstar because he's never won anything, because he plays in Utah and he played in the same generation as Michael Jordan, so he never won a goddamn thing. But he was still one of the greatest, 20 basketball players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a sympathetic figure.
Sure.
And he's someone people like and feel bad for because he could never win. And then you have this guy that's this bombastic, married to Carmen Electra, dressing in women's wedding dresses on covers of magazines, that is the ultimate villain. It was obvious that Carl Malone was going to say, me and you start. And that's what they did. And I thought it fit.
Oh, yeah. The end of the match, because I don't think we really need to talk about the middle of the match because nothing of note happened. Nothing of note really happened. It was just your typical celebrity match, back and forth. I don't know. I just think the other note that I wrote down here was I don't know that San Diego was the wrong place to do the basketball rivalry payoff thing, but that's just me too.
That makes complete sense,
because while the crowd loved
Chicago or Salt Lake City,
because
completely different.
While the crowd there loved seeing Malone and DDP and Hogan and Rodzilla, they just weren't as into it because there wasn't anything to connect them to. They don't really play basketball in San Diego. Name the San Diego basketball team, Biff. Red Kind Man.
The San Diego Pelicans.
Might as well be. Sounds good. Slap it on a jersey and shove them out the road. Get out there, kids.
Let's go.
All right.
No, but I agree with you. Like, I don't like, and by the way, in the broadcast, they're playing up how Entertainment Tonight's there, how USA Today's there, how all of this, how this is now. And by the way, they're right about that.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there was national interest.
Oh yeah,
in this because of that. And you also got to remember, this is a couple years after the invention of the internet. Like, this is not like today where you could do anything anywhere. and get as much traction, like as you said, from that. Like you made the best point earlier. Like I didn't hear an explosion when fucking Rey Mysterio came out
No, yeah, right.
as the local guy from San Diego.
Hmm.
And granted, San Diego is probably the most relaxed city in the fucking country. And
Probably.
why wouldn't you be?
Right.
Listen, if I lived in San Diego, fucking eating fish tacos and drinking IPAs all day, with the breeze blowing through my fucking hair, I'd probably be pretty relaxed too.
You're making a good
But
case for me to move back to San Diego, aren't you?
by the way, I'm interviewing right now for a job where the corporate headquarters is San Diego.
Oh,
And now listen, I won't move there because
no.
living there will not, and unless these guys want to buy me a beach villa to
Right.
come aboard
Well, if
as
you
some
have a
perk.
layover in this region and you feel like packing me into your luggage, we can go to San Diego together and I'll show you the best places to get a fish taco.
I'm not even big on fish tacos, but I'm a big guy on when in Rome.
Right? There
You
you
know
go.
what I mean? Like
I do.
I'll do anything when in Rome. Like, by the way, my mom, we have free room and board if we want to go to the Royal Rumble this year
Oh, Royal Rumble,
in
huh?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa
If you can
Bay,
get
huh?
yourself to Tampa, I can put you up and yeah. But then I have to stay with my mom for a few days, so I might just watch it here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be easier. Uh, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually talking to my wife yesterday about, you know, SmackDown is coming to Lincoln here at the end of not the end of January, to be it's the middle of January. I think it's January 12th. And she asked me how I was going, and I'm like, well, if they come, to this area closer to here, then maybe yeah. But I mean, I don't want to drive all the way to Lincoln to watch
Shit,
SmackDown.
deadline was 35 minutes from me.
What now?
Deadline NXT deadline was 35 minutes from me.
Oh, was it? And you didn't go?
Well, no, I was gonna go. I got on Ticketmaster,
Right.
and my whole idea was I was gonna make a sign that said "Old School AB poops too much," and I was gonna hold it up, and to promote the show and to give you a shout out. And then I noticed that all the seats on the side opposite of the camera were sold out, and all the seats on the other side were fucking completely empty. So I realized people have the same idea I have, that they want to be on camera. Now,
Right.
I don't want to be on camera. I could care less. I was going to
Yeah.
wear this mask and hold up the sign, but I just wanted to hold up the sign. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. People already figured this shit out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't go. Plus, Bridgeport's it's pretty much the armpit of Connecticut. You gotta be careful down there.
Wow.
You gotta be careful.
All right. Well, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. Don't go to Bridgeport.
Well, Bridgeport is not the nicest place you can go in Connecticut. Let's put it that way.
Got it. Got it.
And by the way, every state has that type of. That's not me knocking Bridgeport. That's every state has a place where you lock your car. Let's put it that way.
I think of crime in Connecticut, and I think of college teens with polo shirts and upturned collars running
By the
around.
way, Bridgeport is about 15 minutes from Yale.
See my point exactly.
But it's light years. Like if you walked on the Yale campus and you drove your car for 10 miles and into Bridgeport, you would be like, I just transferred planets.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yeah. No.
It's like New Orleans. If you're on Bourbon Street, oh my God, that's fucking adults' playground. You go down a side street and make a left, and all of a sudden you're in the greatest murder street in the country. Like sometimes you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. Don't go off the beaten path. That's the lesson learned
Yeah.
here, folks.
Yeah. Hey, if you can't get into Yale, you don't have to go to Southern Connecticut.
That's right. That's right. Anyways, back to the match. The match ends. We have a schmoz breaks out. DDP has Hogan pinned, but the Disciple comes in, hits Page, rolls Hogan on top of him for the pin. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Yeah. What a way to end the pay-per-view. What a way to end the show. Kind Man, your thoughts?
It ended.
It ended. That's right. It ended. And I'm happy that it ended, because for as much fun as I had, and I'll tell you what, this is my overall score for the pay-per-view, having watched it then on a if 5 stars is the highest you could give this pay-per-view, I would probably give this one a 4.1.
Okay. I'd probably be a little lower.
Would be lower for you?
Yeah. There wasn't a moment for me. Like to me, if I want to rate pay-per-views, there has to be a moment that just absolutely captivates me.
Right.
And I don't know if there was.
Yeah. So the Eddie Guerrero stuff for me.
9.
Yeah, the Eddie Guerrero stuff for me, because I remember that specific that angle and that specific thing, and it made me remember how much WWE wasted Chavo and Eddie. I mean, don't get me wrong, they used them well later on, but I mean,
oh God, yeah. Like I think Eddie Guerrero. Oh my God, he was one of my favorites of all time.
yeah.
Like I feel as though WWE did a great job with Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, they did, but they dropped the ball with Chavo
when he came out, when he
Yeah.
started shaking, and
Yeah.
like, oh my God, there was nothing more riveting than watching Eddie Guerrero come out to the ring when he was at his peak in WWE. I
Oh,
thought they
no
did
doubt about it.
amazing job with it.
And
And I saw him with the greasy hair and the kind of, he was almost awkward in
yeah,
this pay-per-view.
yeah. Had that
And I
mullet.
was almost like, why is Eddie Guerrero awkward? Like, and
That
Eddie
was
Guerrero
he was playing
was
that
one of
character.
the
Yeah.
best people in front of the microphones, like just being himself. And I didn't see him as himself in this pay-per-view.
Yeah. No. It's yeah, it's a real shame. But
And by the way, just rest in peace. I love Eddie Guerrero.
oh, me too. You know, there's
Just
no part of Eddie
absolutely.
Guerrero I didn't love.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Case in point, I was gonna say that for me, I think I've already said it, but the Guerreros had the match of the night for me. So I mean, everything they did in that ring meant something. Everything they did had purpose. It was a great match. It was a great card.
Any match that ends in a small package to me is fucking thumbs up.
Right.
Like that is a art that is no longer recognized in professional wrestling. And and the fact that his scissors, he's pulling, like he's trying to not stab Charles Robinson and Eddie at the same time while he's getting, bundled up in a small package. Like, yeah, no, I thought that was I thought that was a good match. I said before, I think it was slow, but
Yeah.
I think it was a good match.
All right. So now let's move over to the last bit of business we have today.
We're going long.
Yeah, we're going long today, folks. I apologize, but look at it this way. I don't know, and I don't want to talk about it necessarily on the air or take up too much more time, but we can talk later on in the week about what next show we want to do, Mr. Kind Man. But we haven't talked about it betwixt ourselves or sussed it out, but there may be a bit of an episode we'll do in between the holidays, after the holiday season has ended and betwixt the new year. So we'll see.
We will be the next top 5 list, which will be a top 10 list, because I am imploring AB to also participate in this.
Okay.
From a listener, they want to know our top 5 storylines leading into the Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania. So that comes directly from one of our listeners that we're going to do as the next top list. And I felt as though I should implore AB to also give a top 5 where we go 5-5-4-4
Sure.
on, because I think that that's an awesome topic
Yeah.
leading into the next stage of all of this. That's A&W included, but just top 5 storylines leading into 2024.
Yes.
So that'll be a
I
part
love
of the
it.
next episode.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's do this really quick. I want to talk to you about this episode's top 5 submission. And this top 5 submission list is going to be the top 5 submission holds of all time. Is that a correct
Yeah.
statement, sir?
Yeah, in a couple aspects. It's hard, right?
Mm.
I mean, this one's competitive.
Yeah, big
I
time.
think number 5 was the hardest one I had, where it was just the top 4 I was pretty like locked in, so I looked at it from 2 perspectives. I looked at it from, are these submission holds devastating?
Mhm.
Like, do they hurt in real life? Was one thing I really looked at, and a lot, and 4 or 5 of these I've been put in, so I actually know that someone has given these to me, so I actually know what they feel like. One I didn't, but I have a lot of research as to how devastating it could be, because it actually got banned a few times from the WWE,
Mm.
based on injuries. So, but I also looked at it from a legacy perspective. So my tiebreakers a lot of times were who is known for this, for this submission hold,
Woo,
because I
woo.
wanted to make sure that these were names known for this. And a lot of people have done, variations of these based on these unbelievable legends that bought this. But I want to start. The other tiebreaker I did, and why 5 was so tough, is I wanted to include every generation of wrestling in this list, because I think sometimes the older generations don't get as much shine because our athletes today are bigger, faster, stronger, and everything like that. So at number 5, which is my toughest one, I'm gonna give to Bob Backlund and the crossface chicken.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
And yeah, and I just think he deserves it. By the way, he grew up 2 towns over from me. I met him as a kid. Uh, he's very well known in a small community here in Connecticut, and great guy. He wasn't the crazy person the WWE made him out to
He
be.
never called you a plebeian?
Yeah, no, in
Okay.
his later years, there's been some, for example, the Oscar lock in
Right.
today's day and age is an adaptation of that combines the leg scissors. And by the way, when Bob Backlund also got down and put his legs around people's bodies, he
Sure.
also did that as well. But yeah, I found that from a generational perspective, that won the tiebreaker for me for number 5, just because of his history and his significance to wrestling, and the fact that people are still doing, uh, the crossface chicken wing in various adaptations.
Yeah.
So that was my number 5,
Good
and that was
pick.
probably my toughest one. Uh, my number 4 is, a greatest of all time. Uh, what's it? What is the thing? Mount Rushmore
Oh,
of
okay.
wrestlers, is Ric Flair in the figure 4. I also want to, and by the way, someone that's got, we used to bets with my friends where you actually get put in the figure 4 because you think all the shit's fake
Yeah.
when you're growing up, and then someone actually puts you in the figure 4, and it is not fun.
No.
It is one of the most painful things I've ever gone through.
It hurts.
Uh, and I'll also give a shout out to his daughter, Charlotte Fair, for even advancing it to the figure 8,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing. And I think it shows you the difference in athlete from the 80s and 90s to the
Yeah.
2020s.
I think it's cool that Andrade uses that in AEW as a submission from time to time.
And Andrade is Charlotte's husband, correct?
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
um, but that is obviously as iconic submission holds could possibly be in the WWE. That's probably, if you were going to give me the most iconic submission hold in the history of WWE, it'd probably be number one. Number three, maybe I get called out for being a homer here, but I don't think so. Is the Undertaker's Hell's Gate.
Okay.
It's one of the few wrestling submission holds that has been banned from the sport based on actual injury. Where people actually left with injuries to their throat, blood coming out of their mouth that was not fabricated. That it was just a devastating. I mean, to bring it back to the Guerreros, Vicky Guerrero, as the general manager of Raw, banned it in the storyline, but the backstory was actually that the doctors made them ban it. That it was that devastating and that much pressure on people's throat that people were leaving the ring bleeding out of their mouth, and the WWE didn't want that happening anymore. So if you watch that submission hold, it's actually pretty devastating. And the fact that they decided to pull it back, which is why you didn't see The Undertaker do it for his entire career, tells you something about really what that submission hold did.
Nice.
Number two is another icon and a guy I miss greatly. May he rest in peace. He's one of the all-time great follows on Twitter, or now the X, whatever the fuck it is. The Iron Sheik in the Camel Clutch. He was an iconic character, but also that move. So I referenced me and my friends in high school. My friend put me in the figure four, and we had a stopwatch until I tapped. And I got to put him in the Camel Clutch, and then we had a stopwatch until he tapped. And so I was the one that gave the Camel Clutch. And I can tell you, one of my toughest friends of all time tapped out before me every time. Because that move does not tickle.
You know, okay? The Sheik would have said he's going to break your back and fuck your ass and make you humble.
Oh, God. And by the way, there's a family member of the Iron Sheik that's still posting on his Twitter account.
Yeah.
It's creepy in a way where I'm just like, when I see it, I'm like, oh, God. Like, but at the same time, I love it. Great follow on Twitter /X, whatever the fuck. But that is an iconic submission hold and deserves every bit of being number two on this list. Number one, maybe I'll give you a quick thought on this, and you can tell me if you can pick this out.
Sure.
My number one was mentioned on 1998. The
Bash at the Beach
that we've talked about was mentioned during the broadcast.
Oh, hell. That could be anything. I don't know.
Okay. It was as a wrestler that actually performed at Bash at the Beach and attempted this submission hold during the broadcast and did not do it, did not get it locked in. And this was a wrestling hold, much like I always talk about the fucking like Triple H's finisher. Why am I drawing a blank? Pedigree. that has been nerfed over the years,
Mm,
where they viewed it as too dangerous anymore to continue to do it in that format. So, for example, when Triple H does the pedigree, or people that do the pedigree today, no longer hook the arms in the whole time
right.
until the head goes down. Now they release the arms,
Yeah.
and it becomes a basically nothing DDT.
Yeah.
This is a finisher that has been nerfed over the years because it was so devastating and so injury prone. And it's the Lion Tamer from Chris Jericho.
Okay.
And what they changed, what they made the Walls of Jericho, if you go back to film, go look, challenge me if you want to. Go back to film of the Lion Tamer versus the Walls of Jericho. The Walls of Jericho is a half-assed crab.
Yeah.
Okay. The Lion Tamer takes a full crab and then has his knee come down on the side of the guy's face
Yeah.
or neck and has him bent in a way that those people tapping are really tapping.
Yeah.
That's something where they're just like, okay, let me the fuck out of this. The Lion Tamer is really devastating. And it got banned because of that. Because you have neck injuries, because you have back injuries, because you have all of these
Yeah.
things. If you look at old school Chris Jericho Lion Tamer, do some screenshots of when he puts his knee into the guy's cheek and twists the whole guy's body. That to me is the most devastating submission hold in the history of wrestling.
Well, there you got it right here, everybody. The Lion Tamer. Not a move to be trifled with.
I bet you didn't pick that one.
So. No, I didn't predict that at all. I couldn't predict it. You're a hard guy to predict, kind man. You're unpredictable.
I do my research though.
That's right, you do. That's what I appreciate about you. All right, pal. Well, thanks for another fantabulous top 10. Well, I would say top 10. I said top 5.
What's yours? You got to give me. You got to give me. Give me your top submission hole.
My top submission hole of all time. I am good. Also, I didn't see. While you do prepare and plan, I didn't prepare and plan for shit. So,
well, I always tell you to prepare one.
Yeah. I have one. If I had to say one perfect submission hold, it would probably be the figure 4 leg lock. That would be the one that I would go for. It's the most used. It's the most often, with a close second to the sharpshooter / scorpion deathlock.
Sure.
And I would put that as my,
That also is also considered Texas Cloverleaf.
Texas Cloverleaf would be in that same vein. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. We want to thank all of you, you, for taking the time to be with us today. You're super fucking cool. I just want to tell you that today. Please consider dropping an elbow on that subscribe button. And if you're feeling extra saucy, frog splash over to that top rope. Give me that thumbs up emoticon. I would certainly appreciate it. And please share our channel with the people that you think might like this sort of thing, because sharing things you like is cool. And it's cool to share things that you like with other people. So, once again, thank you all so much. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for hanging in with us. Have a nice day.